So these are the two biggest mistakes college students make that keep them from getting A's and B's. I came up with this framework because I myself used to be a poor student. I used to get C's, D's, and I'll get like a B by accident. So I decided one day that I'm going to tackle this problem and I'm going to start getting all A's and an occasional B. So I've gone through this. I've transitioned from being a poor student to being an A student. These are the two biggest mistakes that kept me from that goal. Number one is time management. You got to understand that there's only 24 hours in a day. 8 hours of those days is going to be spent on sleep. And then you got 16 hours left in a day. Now, you need to study a certain amount of time for each class. So you need to understand that if you're studying 3 hours a day, you got to study 3 hours cumulatively. You don't have to study the whole 3 hours in one session because you're going to get tired. But if you do it cumulatively, meaning you might study 5 minutes here, 5 minutes another time, it all has to add up to 3 hours before the end of the day. So if you can see that, okay, I have 16 hours, waking hours when I'm not sleeping, you know that, okay, let me make sure I'm getting these study hours in before that time is over. If you study cumulatively, it's really quality studying because you're not studying if you don't feel inspired or if you don't feel awake, or if you feel, as soon as you feel bored, you put the book down or you put the studying down, you stop reading, and then you come back to it. But the time that you did study, it's very quality. Some people, they could study from 3 to 6 and be productive the whole time. But me, I'm not that way. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that's not that way too. I can't just sit down for 3 hours and look at something, 3 hours straight of quality studying, and look at something that I don't know and I'm not interested in. And I'm expected to learn and retain that now. So what I do, again, is do cumulative studying. However much time, 3 hours, 5 hours, just break it up. And sometimes you don't know how much you're going to break it up because who knows? Maybe you study for 3 hours straight and then there's your 3 hours. But the key here is to make sure you pay attention to how you feel while you're studying. Are you just glazing over the words and not retaining anything? Are you drowsy while studying? Is it becoming boring? That's a good indicator to stop. Maybe you might take a 2-minute break, 5-minute break, hour break, and then come back to it. But make sure you're doing quality studying and make sure you know how much time you have in a day. Number two, this is the biggest mistake I made. I was not asking questions when I didn't understand. Now, this is huge. If you know you don't understand something, ask the question. That's why teachers are there. That's why we're paying these people thousands of dollars to teach us when we don't understand something, but they can't read our minds. They think if you're not asking questions to them, they're like, oh, they get it. They're not asking anything. So they should pass this class. Now, if you don't understand and you're not asking questions, those two things let me know, or you should know yourself, that you don't care about getting A's. You don't care because you're not asking questions. And it's so great when you ask a question and then, your teacher or your professor answers the question, and then it just brings so much clarity to everything. Go to the office hours, whatever they got going on, go to tutoring. And what I realize is that when I do the cumulative studying, I usually don't even have any questions. But let's say you don't do the cumulative studying, or you've done the studying and you still don't get it. Ask the question, because you know you don't understand and you just go take this test knowing that you don't get it. Just go and ask the professor. Don't be afraid. That's why they're there, and they actually love it because they already have the information. And then when they see that you are asking the questions about it, they're more prone to give you even a higher grade, probably. But they probably don't need to give you a higher grade because you're going to understand, because you're going to ask. And also, a lot of times people think, oh, these are stupid questions, but there's no such thing as a stupid question. Be honest with where you are and what you know, and ask the questions and they will be answered. That's it. The two biggest mistakes that students make that keep them from getting A's is not managing their time correctly, meaning knowing how much time you have in a day and knowing how much you need to study and making sure that that makes sense. And studying cumulatively instead of in time blocks. And studying when you're fresh and your mind is fresh and inspired, and not studying when it's not. And the second biggest mistake students make that keep them from getting A's is not asking questions. This is what they're there for. Why do you think we have teachers? So you got to ask these questions so that they can teach you exactly what you need to know. If you don't, then you're just going to get left behind. You're going to have to hold that F. Peace. Fix those two things and you'll get all A's.